Hello everyone! Welcome to our 9th Virtual Storytime. Can we count to 9? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 weeks. I know it's hard to believe. Well, I would like to dedicate this virtual story time to our medical practitioners on the front lines. Thank you for all that you do. We appreciate it. Well, since the state of Vermont is going to be slowly moving towards reopening services here in Vermont, and since the library will be slowly moving towards eventually reopening as well, I figured it was a good opportunity to remind all the families to continue that wonderful work of safe practices. Washing our hands frequently, covering our mouths when we cough, coughing into our elbow. That's sort of the vampire cough. Pretend you have a cape, and every time you have to cough or sneeze, sneeze into your cape. Not touching your face, your nose, your eyes, your mouth. Maintaining 6 feet of distance if you're going out in public. And of course, wearing a mask if you go out in public. But I'm not going to wear that mask today because I need to read some stories to you. And these stories today are about germs. But before we begin with the stories, let's start by warming up our hands and waking them up with a clap, 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 a clap, 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 a clap, clap, clap. I wake up my hands with a clap, 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 and I wiggle my waggles away. I wake up my feet with a stomp, 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 a stomp, 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 a stomp, stomp, stomp. I wake up my feet with a stomp, 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 and I wiggle my waggles away. I wake up my head with a nod, 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 a nod, 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 a nod, nod, nod. I wake up my head with a nod, 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 and I wiggle my waggles away. I wake up my eyes with a blink, 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 a blink, 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 a blink, blink, blink. I wake up my eyes with a blink, 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 and I wiggle my waggles away. I wake up my hips with a shake, 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 a shake, 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 a shake, shake, shake. I wake up my hips with a shake, 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 and I wiggle my waggles away. One more wiggle. I wake up my tummy with a poke, 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 a poke, 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 a poke, poke, poke. I wake up my tummy with a poke, 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 and I wiggle my waggles away. One more good wiggle from you guys. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Who's ready for a story? Are you ready for a story? I know I am. Okay, so some stories about germs. The first one is a very popular one in the Catherine Patterson Children's Room at the Aldrich Library. Curious George Discovers Germs. The reading of this book is by permission of Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. Curious George Discovers Germs. An adaptation by Erica Zappy, based on the TV series Teleplay, written by Peter Hirsch. George is a good little monkey, and always very curious. But sometimes even good little monkeys find themselves not feeling so well. How did George know he was sick? The story starts with spaghetti sauce. George's favorite day of the week was sauce day at Chef Passetti's restaurant. He always gave Chef Passetti some tips to make the best sauce. But today, instead of being able to taste the chef's new Molto Giotto sauce, George couldn't taste anything. Did you know? When you say you can't taste something because you have a cold, it's really because you can't smell it. Your sense of smell is responsible for most of what you taste. So when your nose is stuffed up, it's hard to smell or taste much of anything. Chef Passetti sent George home, and the man with the yellow hat sent George to bed. Then he took George's temperature. Fever, stuffy nose, clammy paws, said the man. You are definitely fighting a germ, George. Do you know what a germ is? Well, George was curious. The man got out a book. There was a picture of a funny-looking blob. This is a bad germ, George. There are good germs and bad germs. A bad germ is making you sick, the man explained. Germs are very small. They can be found anywhere in your body. Your nose, your mouth, your stomach, your lungs. But that's enough biology for today. Tired monkeys need their rest. And there's the little blob, the germ. George might have been sick, but he was still curious. Where did the germ come from? And more important, how could he get rid of it? He was still wondering when he dozed off. Soon George was dreaming. In his dream, he was very small, like a germ. He and his pal, Gnocchi, were going to take a trip inside George's sleeping body to fight off the bad germs. George and Gnocchi zoomed into sleeping George's mouth and landed right on his tongue. It was soft and squishy, and there was music playing. They hadn't expected that. What could it be? It seemed to be coming from his nose. When George and Gnocchi got to the nose, they saw a funny-looking blob strumming a guitar and singing. Bum bam bam, oh make you sniff. Bum bam bam, oh make you sneeze. Bum bam bam, you won't be smelling that smelly cheese. Bum bam bam bam, we'll make you sweat. Bum bam bam, and make you squirm. Bum bam bam bam, because that's how germs are being germs. George could hardly believe his eyes. I'm Toots, the singing germ, he introduced himself, and these are my backup singers, the germettes. Say hi, girls. Hi! Seeing Toots in his nose made George upset. He wanted that germ out of him, but Toots did not want to go. In fact, he took the germettes and headed to George's lungs, laughing and singing all the way. George and Gnocchi chased the germs to the lungs. George noticed that when the lungs got smaller, air went out, and when the lungs got bigger, a rush of air came in. He was watching himself breathe. George's lungs gave him an idea. He remembered something he saw in the germ book. Coughing and sneezing are the lungs' way of doing their job and trying to force out bad germs. All George had to do was sneeze Toots right out of his body. George and Gnocchi chased Toots and the Germettes all the way to George's nose. Then, with one big choo sneeze, thanks to some well-positioned tickling, out went Toots and the Germettes out into the air, looking for a new place to live. I'm sorry, I should have covered my mouth there. A few days later, George was feeling much better. He had taken lots of naps, drunk lots of water and juice, and sneezed out all those germs. He could even smell again. But it was clear where Toots and the Germettes had found a new home. George's friend, the man with the yellow hat, was sick. The man had taken such good care of George when he was sick. Now George wanted to help his friend get better too. So, he made him some soup. That's nice of George. George brought the soup to the man's bed. "Thanks, George," the man said. But when he tried the soup, he couldn't taste anything. George wanted to taste it, but his friend stopped him. "George, don't use that spoon. It might be covered with my cold germs. You don't want to get sick again, do you?" the man asked. George definitely did not want to get sick again. That made George curious. How else do germs get from one person to another? He looked at his germ book. George knew that the germs were in him just a few days ago, but his friend had not used George's spoon, or fork, or cup. Do you think the man caught George's germs when he sneezed or coughed? Maybe George didn't cover his mouth. Did you know if you don't have a tissue handy, you should cough or sneeze into your elbow? If you cough or sneeze into your hand, the germs will be on your hand. Then when you touch a doorknob, a sink, a pen, utensils, or even someone else's hand, you will spread your germs. And even worse, if you don't cover up at all, your germs can go really far. Some scientists say that a single sneeze can travel 100 miles per hour and spread over 100,000 germs. So it's really important to cover up your mouth when you sneeze. Looking at that book made George sleepy. He drifted into another dream. Now he and Gnocchi were inside the man with the yellow hat's body. There was that music again, coming from the man's stomach. They needed to find Toots so they could kick him out again. Bum bam bam, well, I've been lots of places. Bum bam bam, floating free as a wheeze. Bum bam bam, riding on your silverware or flying on your sleeves. Bum bam bam, I played to many people. Bum bam bam bam, all across this great big land. Bum bam bam, especially in the folks who don't like to wash their hands, because soap makes me wriggle and soap makes me sneer. One side of soap and this Toots is out of here. If George heard Toots correctly, getting his friend to wash his hands would be a good way to help him get rid of the germs and feel better. But Toots and the Germettes remembered George and knew they needed to get away from him. Ooh. We're off to play in another body. We're off to another gig. Toots said they were going to infect someone else. Get ready to hop on that hand when he wipes his nose, yelled Toots to his Germettes. Okay! George didn't want the germs inside his friend, but he didn't want anyone else to be sick either. He had to stop them. When the bell rang and the man got up to answer the door, Toots and the Germettes were ready for a new body. Professor Wiseman's. She had also made soup for her sick friend. George and Gnocchi zoomed out after the germs and landed with a thud on the professor's hand. The germs were startled. "Ooh, it feels like something is crawling on my hands," Professor Wiseman said. "I should probably wash them inside." Did you know everyone, kids and adults, should wash their hands with soap before they eat, after they use the bathroom, and when they are through playing with toys, using public transportation, or visiting public places? We use our hands to touch all kinds of things, and that is why it's important to keep them out of your mouth and to wash them often. Professor Wiseman went to the bathroom and washed Toots and the Germettes right down the drain. Not only had George chased those germs out of his friend, he, and some soap, had stopped them from getting Professor Wiseman sick too. When George woke up from his dream, he felt great. But he went straight to the bathroom to wash his hands and his feet, just in case. After 2 icky adventures with Toots, this healthy little monkey wanted to stay that way. Wasn't that a great story, you guys? I hope you learned something. Some healthy habits. Always wash up. Practice good hand hygiene. Make a list of times you and your family should wash your hands with soap and water and post it on your refrigerator or in your bathroom. Some ideas for when you should wash your hands. Before and after you eat. After using the bathroom. After playing with animals, even your pets. Before and after visiting sick friends or family. After you cough, sneeze, or blow your nose. After playing outside. And you can sing a song to make sure that you're washing your hands long enough to get rid of all the germs. And a good one to sing is Happy Birthday. So I hope you all enjoyed that story. And now I think it's time for a little song here. So our next story that we're going to be reading is about microbes. And germs are a type of microbe, but while germs make you sick, not all microbes make you sick. Some microbes are very good, like the microbes that turn food and compost into soil. Those are very useful microbes. And another animal that helps with that is the earthworm. So the next song that we're going to sing here, the song we're going to sing is about a worm. It's called Herman the Worm. You can make a worm, Herman the Worm, with me. You can sing along with me. The song goes like this. Sitting on my front porch, chewing my bubble gum, playing with my yo-yo, woo, woo, when along came Herman the Worm, and he was this big, and I said to him, Herman, what happened? He says, I ate my sister. So the next day, sitting on my front porch, chewing my bubble gum, playing with my yo-yo, woo, woo, when along came Herman the Worm, and he was this big, and I said to him, Herman, what happened? He says, I ate my brother. So the next day, sitting on my front porch, chewing my bubble gum, playing with my yo-yo, woo, woo, when along came Herman the Worm, and he was this big, and I said to him, Herman, what happened? He says, I just ate my mom. Woo! So the next day, sitting on my front porch, chewing my bubble gum, playing with my yo-yo, woo, woo, when along came Herman the Worm, and he was this big, and I said to him, Herman, what happened? He says, I just ate my dad. So the next day, sitting on my front porch, chewing my bubble gum, playing with my yo-yo, woo, woo, when along came Herman the worm, and he was this little. I said to him, Herman, what happened? He says, I burped. Hope you all enjoyed that song. That's one of my favorites. All right, so we have another story here. And this one is called Tiny Creatures, The World of Microbes by Nicola Davies, illustrated by Emily Sutton. And this reading of this book is by permission from Candlewick Press. Hope you enjoy. So, Tiny Creatures. The World of Microbes. You know about big animals, like a whale. And you know about small animals, like an ant. But do you know that there are creatures so tiny that millions could fit on this little ant's antenna? So tiny that we'd have to make the ant's antenna as big as a whale to show them all to you. They don't have eyes, heads, or legs, branches, roots, or leaves, because they aren't animals or plants. But they are alive. They are called microbes. And there are lots of them. A single drop of seawater can hold 20 million microbes. That's about the same as the number of people in New York State. Wow. That's a lot. And a teaspoon of soil can have as many as 1 billion microbes. That's about the same number as the number of people in the whole of India. Microbes live everywhere, in the sea, on the land, in the soil, and in the air. They live in places where nothing else does, like in volcanoes, or inside rocks, or at the back of your fridge. They also live on the outside and inside of plants and animals. Right now, there are more microbes living on your skin than there are people on Earth. And there are 10 or even 100 times as many as that in your stomach. Don't worry. Although some microbes make you sick, the ones that live in you and on you all the time help to keep you well. But even though they are so small, too small to see, they are not all the same. There are lots of different kinds, more than there are different kinds of animals and plants. Some are tinier than others, as different in size as ants and whales. This little thing is a polio virus, one of the smallest microbes. And this is a paramecium, 2,000 times bigger than the polio virus. Of course, these are so small that you need a microscope to see them. Now, microbes come in different shapes. Some microbes are round, some are skinny, some look like shells, some are squishy, some have wiggly tails, some look like daisies. Parents, does that look familiar? Some look like spaceships. Some look like necklaces. Microbes can eat anything. plants, animals, alive or dead, even oil and rocks. They're too small to have mouths, so they just soak up what they need through their skin. That's why the things microbes eat don't disappear in bites, like with our food. They change slowly into something else. Food into compost. Milk into yogurt. Rocks into soil. And there are our earthworms, just like Herman the worm. And when microbes are well fed, they are really, really good at making more microbes. They simply split apart so that where there was one, 20 minutes later, there are 2. And then 4. And then 8. And then 16. Starting with just one microbe of a type called E. coli, which of course would be far too small for you to see. It would take 11.5 hours for there to be enough E. coli to fill this space. And 20 minutes later, they would all split and double to fill this space. Whoa! And then, if we had 2 more pages, we would have 4 pages of microbes in 20 more minutes. That's why it takes only a few of the wrong kind of microbes, the kind we call germs, to get into your body to make you sick. They get in through your mouth, or through a cut, or sometimes through an insect's bite, like that mosquito right there. Then inside you, where they are warm and well fed, they split and split and split until just a few germs have turned into thousands, then millions. They're still tiny, but there are enough of them to make you sick. So, it's best to stop them from getting in. Luckily, only a few kinds of microbes can make humans sick. Most microbes are busy doing other things. And what are those kids doing to keep them from getting sick? They're washing their hands. And because microbes are so good at making more microbes, some of the things they do are very, very big. They can wear down mountains and build up cliffs. They can stain the sea red, turn the sky cloudy, and make snowflakes grow. They recycle everything that dies to make soil so that the new life can sprout. And they help to make our air good to breathe. All over the earth, all the time, tiny microbes are eating and splitting, changing one thing into another. They are the invisible transformers of our world, the tiniest lives, doing some of the biggest jobs. Microbes. Well, I hope you guys all learned a little bit about microbes there. Not all bad, just the germs. The germs that make you sick. But that's why it's important to keep washing your hands. Well, we've got a couple of activities for you this week to learn just how easily you can transfer germs by touching objects. There's a really great game you can play. You can find a ball or a different object that you can pass around. And then the entire family can sit or stand in a circle. And what you need to do is put flour or some colorful chalk on your hands. One person puts the colorful chalk or the flour on their hands. And that person is going to start with the ball or the object, and then they pass it to the next person. All the way around the circle, you could go around twice. And then at the very end, everyone looks at their hands, and you can see how much chalk or flour you have on your hands. And all of that are the germs that were passed from that one object, from that one person who had the chalk or the flour on their hands. So that will illustrate how easy it is to pass germs around by objects, touching objects. There's another really great activity in the Curious George book. You probably have heard of the 5-second rule with food. If you drop a piece of food on the ground, do you ever hear someone say, "Pick it up quick! 5-second rule." Often people call the 5-second rule because they think that if you get food on the floor quickly enough and pick it up, there won't be any germs on it. But did you know that scientists have done studies to show that even in less than 5 seconds, germs can make their way onto your food and into your body? So, the experiment that they have, you take 2 Ziploc bags and 2 pieces of bread. You wash your hands very carefully before this experiment, and then you label one bag A with a permanent marker, and you slip a clean piece of bread in it, and then you label the other one B, and then you take that bread and you drop it on the ground or outside on the ground or on the floor and count to 5. 5 seconds. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5. Then you pick that second piece of bread up, you put it in the second bag, and seal that up. And then just keep on looking at it every day and see how quickly the germs and the fungi and all kinds of other stuff grow on that bread. Can you guess which bread is going to grow moldy first? Is it going to be A or B? You're just going to have to experiment and find out. Well, that just about wraps up our story time here. If you wanted to make a craft, it's a good idea to make yourself a face mask when you go out. So, in our description for this video, I included a link to the CDC guidelines for face masks. So I would advise reading those guidelines, and then you can go online on Pinterest or on YouTube, and there are tons of really crafty, creative, clever ways of making face masks at home, using t-shirts or bandanas or even old socks. Clean socks, of course. So you can decorate those face masks however you like. Remember, face masks are the new fashion statement, like ties and scarves. So go ahead and decorate them. Throw some glitter on them. Make them look fantastic. And they'll keep you safe and healthy. Well, folks, I hope you all have a safe and healthy week, and I'll see you all back here, same time, same place, next Tuesday. Bye for now.